Hello, my name is Lee, and so glad that you're joining me today. Well, the title of my little conversation with you today is called Divine Sophia Return to the Heart of the Wild. And I know you're saying, hey, Jim, why are you talking about an ancient goddess from history, Sophia? And I'm saying I think she's kind of relevant for us today. It all depends on how we look at her. So I'm considering this ancient goddess Sophia now as a portal for us today. And what I'm just saying is the conditions are so perfect for us rediscovering and reinterpreting and reevaluating, I would say, this positive energy from the past that I assert that can be very valuable for us today. For we're living in a period where most people, including myself, we're hungry for a direction. We're hungry for something beyond religion, beyond dogma. In fact, beyond science. We want something that we can experience that is real. And I think this is something that can support us. This is a valuable, I would call it an insight that I just want us to be in touch with today. So, as I get started, I want to give a little history and background on this because it all came because I was doing this Bible class and I uncovered that divine goddess Sophia was a major part of the original Christians and who they were and what they believe and how they carried on in life. And then I come to find out doing some additional research that the Sophia has ancient roots going way back over 100,000 years with indigenous people. For it seems as though our ancestors over 100,000 years ago were in touch with nature and life and existence in a very intimate way. They needed to have that in order to survive. So what they noticed was a couple of things. One was this, I would call it relationship with life, the plants, the herbs, and all of that. They were able to be with them, and they spoke to them, and they spoke back, and they realized that energy, and also they looked at this energy of, I would call it life cycles of birth and death and rebirth and all of that, and they created this myth around it, or this story around it, that was a female being who was able to give birth and continuously create life, and it was all a part of what I would call life itself. Now, this energy is, I would say, archaeologists have come to find out, developed into mythologies all over the world, and it was universal. But clearly, I just want to point out a couple. There was Isis in Egypt, Shakti in India, Venus in Rome, and then Sophia came about through Greece. And Sophia myth became a major part of the early church because that's where the early church was located, in the area that spoke Greek. And so I want to point out, this energy is not masculine, it's not feminine. This energy is the life force itself that goes by a mythological concept called Sophia. Now, what happened after the Council of Nicaea, I believe it was in 322, this energy that was so present in the beginning became a threat. So it was suppressed and turned around, and it was reassigned this dynamic energy, and it came out in a little bit in the Old Testament. It's called under wisdom wisdom teachings, yeah. And then in the New Testament, it got diverted around because, I don't know if you know this, but in Hebrew and Aramaic, the Holy Spirit is feminine. That's a feminine word. So this feminine goddess, Sophia, was very present. Then it got diverted. But we won't get any more into that because that takes away from the point that I'm trying to make. So today, I'm saying all this to say, Sophia energy, the goddess Sophia, is alive and well. I want us to pick up her new energy signatures that's for us today. Is love, creativity, and wisdom and harmony. She's mysterious and has a significant wildness. So today I'm not promoting going back and romanticizing about the wisdom of the original Christians and bringing back that goddess. I am suggesting that we do what they actually did. And they reinvigorated, I would say, the divine feminine into the Divine Sophia myth and successfully, I would say, reworked this ancient wisdom that made it available for them at that day and at that time. Now I'm inviting us to do the same thing for today and this time. Now, from this book that I have, it is called Jesus and the Lost Goddess. I want to give you a quote from it. It says this: Sophia is a myth. We should not think of myths as merely stories for spiritual beginnings, which become redundant once the teachings are understood. Decoding the allegorical meaning of a myth is not about explaining the myth, but about taking it to new levels. And that's what I want to do today. So the thing about the myth is this method is just ripe for modern times. So today is a really good time for us to reinterpret it, re-evaluate it in such a way that we can have access to it. So what it really is going to take some eyes to be able to see and some ears to be able to hear it in a new way. So this is what I'm inviting us to do, is to create a myth now that engages our heart and not just the mind, that can put some abstract thoughts and ideas into form in a particular way that can have meaning for us today with some particulars so that we can emotionally grab it and then have good memory recall, for that's what the Sophia myth did for them. And let's see if we can do it today. So let's just take a moment now. And I would say we're going to have a good moment to recall. Let's bring in the divine feminine, Sophia. Let's see if we can recall, but bring her in today. And as we do, let's bring in the first thing I would call it is love. Breathe that in. And what I mean by love is like this unconditional love. And this unconditional love is just filled with grace and mercy. Now, grace is unearned. It's for everybody. And that means me and you. So let's give love to ourselves first, every part of us. It is not because we've earned it, because grace is here, sharing the beautiful love to every 12 trillion cells of our being. And not only going to love ourselves, I would say fully and completely, we're going to have mercy on ourselves. Yeah, and radically forgive anything that we've said, done, or everything. We're just going to do this mercy of the divine feminine be there. Let's breathe that in. Now, with our Divine Sophia, as we feeling her all around us with love, let's breathe in the heart's desire, whatever it is that we're desiring in our heart. Knowing that the desire that is placed there for us to receive it so that we can create from it. So let's just breathe in that right now our heart's desire is desiring us. The Sophia energy, let's breathe in. I would call it intuitive wisdom. That allows that inner voice of ours to be experienced, that inner knowing to be there in a magnificent way so that we can actually hear it beyond all of the chatter of our mind, beyond how we're being pulled by emotions. We can actually hear it because Sophia is opening up our wonderful way of being with this inner self. So let's breathe in now, being at home in what I would call a mystery. We do not know what is really going on. And in fact, the truth is we're really not in charge. However, we now want to live in what I would call this mystery of unknowing. Have you noticed that life works in some strange and mysterious ways? However, all of this is from Sophia because this is creating, this is beginning the life cycle in the mystery. So let's breathe this in now so that we can move forward today in a way that we can be touched, moved, and inspired by this wonderful, creative, magnificent energy that can guide us, but also can guide all of us into a new way of being. So today, let's allow this Divine Sophia energy to harmonize the male and the female energies within us. Let's receive her as I would call an intimate face of love. Let us receive her as this loving presence emanating as life from us, but also coming from everywhere and everything. Let us allow this to liberate us into a new life. Let's see Sophia giving us rebirth. Now, I'd like to read from you a Rumi quote. I like how Rumi puts things, and it makes me really can step inside this and see if Rumi can help you step inside this as well. And he says this: we share her, this divine mother, you and I, we are her precious children. We are born through her. And she shares in our losses and our gains, our tragedies and our triumphs. Her hair forms the galaxy. Her thoughts become the stars. The sun is her own warmth, and her breath is felt upon this earth, causing the roar of the ocean waves. Her voice is heard in the call of the whales and the trill of the birds. She is all, nurturing life into existence. She is in my reaching for you, and she is in your acceptance of my divine hand. She is all, this great lady. Nothing lies outside of her sphere of influence and power, compassion, and grace. That includes you and your dreams. great and small, my angel of love. So God bless you, and may some of this resonate with you in such a way that you can take it away and have life and have it more abundantly. God bless you.